Hello, welcome back. Last time we looked at the Russell T Davies 1 era of Doctor Who episodes. That's the 9th and 10th Doctors. And today we're starting on the Stephen Moffat era. So that's going to be Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. So arguably, this is probably the period that Doctor Who was the most popular it's ever been in all its history. The 50th anniversary episode, for example, was broadcast simultaneously in 180 countries, which, wherever else you think of the show, that's impressive. Personally, in terms of quality, I don't think it was quite as strong as David Tennant's era, but you know, let's go. Let's start just looking through all the episodes and just ranking them in basically how good I think they are. You're free to agree or disagree, and if you've got any reasons, I'd be happy to hear them. Okay, so we'll start with the 11th hour. Okay, I'm going to put this in great. Some people say this is the best in Doctor Who introduction episode ever. Personally, I would go with Rose, but this is definitely a very strong one. So it's a great introduction to Matt Smith's 11th Doctor character. You get to see he's he's different to David Tennant. He's a lot more wacky. He's a bit more off the wall, but he's got this hard edge to him. And we also, unfortunately, get to see something that will become very common throughout the Moffat era, because Stephen Moffat, he can't help but type one-handed. So yeah, immediately we get this big sexualization of Amy Pond. And Amy is actually probably my biggest gripe with this episode, because young Amelia is fine, but then when you meet the adult Amy, and all you really see from her in this episode is her being angry and shouting a lot, just basically at anything around her. So at the end, when the Doctor takes her off in the TARDIS, it feels more like he's done that just because that's what he promised the young Amelia he'd do. So I'd say that's my only issue, but don't worry, we'll get there with her. Also, I thought was quite an interesting thing is you get the Doctor going into his sort of mind palace thing, which is basically because Stephen Moffat he was writing Sherlock at the same time, so it was like he stole a bit from himself there. It's just interesting, but we never saw him do it again. But so that was a bit weird. But overall, yeah, I think it was a great episode, and the Doctor's epic little speech to the Atraxi at the end. Yeah, that was really cool. Okay, and then so we go into the second episode, which will be The Beast Below. I would say it's okay. I don't think it's anything great. I think the Smilers, I think they're quite creepy. I quite like the Queen in this. I'm the bloody Queen of England, I am. But other than that, yeah, nothing special. it's just okay. Okay. Then we go into Victory of the Daleks. Yeah, it's not good. The big thing people say about this is the Paradigm Daleks. Now, to be honest, I'm not too bothered about the Paradigm Daleks because I thought that this episode did an Angry 11 the best. We're talking about Victory of the Daleks there. You could have a point there. But yeah, the Paradigm Daleks. I don't think they're. I'm not too bothered by them because if you're honest about it, Daleks look goofy anyway. So really, all they are is they're a bit more colourful, a bit bulkier. So I don't think they're a massive problem really. But I don't know. I just don't think it's. Otherwise, and I do like it's got the little Power of the Daleks callback with the "I am your soldier, I am your servant" thing. That's a pretty cool callback if you're a fan of the classic era. And but I think the big question that comes out of this episode is, how does a Dalek make tea? Do they make a good cup of tea, or do they make a piss weak one? I reckon they put the milk in first, the evil little bastards. There we go. All right, so next one, Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone. I don't know. I'm just going to put it in good for now. Yeah, I mean, it was never going to be as good as Blink. I think maybe they slightly over complicated the Angel's lore in this, and of course we got the return of River Song. Now I'm not a massive fan of River Song, but I think she's good. I just don't really buy into the Doctor River relationship that much. I mean, it's an interesting concept where they're meeting out of sequence. Because this is a show about time travel, and it's really weird that Doctor Who hasn't really played around with that idea too much before. Like when you think whenever he meets the Master, it always seems to be in some sort of chronological order. So yeah, it's interesting that they do play around. I don't think it quite works really though, in terms of the Doctor River relationship. And I do have a problem with the ending of this episode, where Amy Pond, how do we say this? She sexually assaults the Doctor. You might think that's extreme, but if this was the Doctor doing this to Amy, that's exactly how you would describe it. So yeah, so that's quite an awkward thing. It makes me wonder in a way, why was Amy ever so popular? But she's got better days coming. So the next episode it put in is Vampires of Venice. I think this is an underrated episode. I do. I think this is a good episode. Yes, it's got its goofy bits to it. They are essentially weird little fish monsters. And I think, like, you got the mummy's boy vampire. But I think it's got a lot of good stuff to going to it. I think Venice looks nice. All right, it's not actually Venice; it's Croatia, but it looks really good. I really like Rory in this episode. I like that he's so determined not to let the Doctor feel like he's got something over him, and he comes up with this really great line that I think really pays off a lot down the line. So it's when he says to the Doctor, "You know what it is that makes you so dangerous? Is that you make people want to impress you." And I always like that about Rory. I think Rory's a great character. Uh, you know, I think he deserves to be seen as more than just an appendage to Amy. But yeah, Vampires of Venice. I think this is a little underrated. Now this is my controversial one from episode. I think it's underrated to one I think is a bit overrated, and that's Amy's Choice. Now it's got good stuff going for it. Toby Jones as the Dream Lord is excellent. I love that. I love the way he plays off with Matt Smith's Doctor. Their interactions are really great. I love that when Amy actually makes the choice. I think that actually makes me come around to her character a lot more. And I think we really start to understand the Doctor's character a bit more from this episode. That you sort of understand that all the frantic energy that's just his coping mechanism, because he can't slow down. If he slows down, that's when the memories return, and he's full of a lot of self-loathing. He wants to keep running. And this is the first episode where we see Rory die. So yeah, get used to seeing that a lot. But yeah, it's got a lot of good stuff, but with the Dream Lords and Amy. But I mean, it's just everything else I don't think is terribly exciting. So I only think it's okay. And next one is Hungry Earth, Cold Blood. So we got the return of the Silurians. A returning villain from the classic series, and that's quite interesting thing to see. The problem is, it's just not a very exciting story. It's just not. It feels like a retread of the original Doctor Who and the Silurians, but just not as interesting. Rory dies again. Yeah, so but this time, it'll be a few episodes before we see him again. But yeah. So who wrote this episode? Chris Chibnall. Well, I'm sure he'll get better. All right, and now Vincent and the Doctor. Now, I know a lot of people would put this in fantastic, but I'm only going to put it in grey, and I'll explain for why. I think this episode, I think it's excellent, but I think it tries a little too hard to pull at the heartstrings. Hi, Claire. How are you doing? But yeah, yeah, Vincent and the Doctor. I think it tries a little too hard to pull at the heartstrings. Like when Bill Nighy's art curator, he's giving his little speech at the end, and when he says, Vincent van Gogh was the one of the greatest men who ever lived, I thought, okay, that's a bit too much. Yeah, I'm doing all right, Claire. Looking forward to next week. We're reviewing the Black Mirror. How was I saying about Vincent? Yeah, and also there's this awkwardness about it, about the episode when it comes to mental health. It does address it a little bit, but it's kind of hard because at the end of the day, you can't ignore the fact that Vincent van Gogh he did commit suicide. This guy who we've grown to really like over this episode, yeah, he commits suicide off screen, and that gives it this sort of awkward feeling to it. So I just think that there are things that could have been done better. But like I said, it's still a really good episode. Then we move on to the Lodger. Now, yeah, it is. It's very awkward. So I'm gonna put the Lodger. I'm gonna put it in poor. So I'm gonna say this. So this is the first episode with James Corden in it, and I'm going to say something that a lot of people might find controversial, but James Corden is a good comic actor. He is. You only need to look at the success of Gavin and Stacey, and he does have good chemistry with Matt Smith in this episode. But with that said, this isn't a particularly good episode. I feel it was, more an excuse for Matt Smith, former Leicester City youth player, to get to show off his football skills. Yeah, it's not a good one, but oh well. Now, I've split these two finales up. So we're going to do Pandorica Opens. Now, this episode, you might say this is mostly set up, but it's actually a really great episode in its own right. It just does everything it needs to do, and yes, of course, you got the epic Stonehenge speech. Yeah, everyone knows that. But you got the return of Rory, his, the emotional reunion with Amy, and that's all really good. I don't have a lot of bad stuff to say about this, and I love the visual at the end. Cybermen, Daleks, and Tyrants all uniting to trap the Doctor inside the Pandorica. It's just an incredible visual. I don't have much bad to say about it. Unfortunately, I do have bad stuff to say about the Big Bang. It's almost as if, as great as the Pandorica Opens was, the Big Bang was just as terrible. It's yeah, and I kind of find that's quite typical for Stephen Moffat. Stephen Moffat's writing, because I think he has these great ideas, but they don't always pay off in a particularly satisfying way. And yeah. And this is the first time we see the Doctor wearing a fez. And it's the first time we see that River Song has a real thing against the Doctor wearing headwear. I notice it. Whenever the Doctor wears a hat, River's got to shoot it. But yeah, I just didn't like it. Christmas Carol. Again, some people say this is the best Christmas episode of Doctor Who. I would say it's the Runaway Bride, but again, this is a really good episode. I love that it really leans into the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol theme, and I love that the Doctor actually utilizes the fact he has access to a time machine. I know that sounds weird, but it's rare that he actually does that. So I really appreciated that. And yeah, I think it's a really great story. Michael Gambon is brilliant as our Scrooge stand-in. Catherine Jenkins, she's okay. She was more brought in for her singing ability than anything else, but she's all right. I think the ending is slightly bittersweet when you remember that after the credits roll, her character actually dies, but it's still a great episode. Now we go to The Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon. I'm not quite sure where I put this one. Do you know, I'm just gonna put it in okay, because I think that just sort of sums up season 6 really, just okay. I thought this was just generally a pretty weak season overall. I learned a bit at the start that in retrospect towards the end of the series, we realized was actually a clue when River shoots the Stetson off the doctor's head, but then somehow she can't hit the astronaut. So we learn retrospectively that obviously River was deliberately missing, and we got a fake out Rory death in this. So, and the enemy of this. Was there an enemy in this? I don't really remember. I remember seeing the River was shooting at someone, but no, I don't. It's weird they put an episode without an enemy in there. Why do I have these marks on my hand? Weird. All right. No, seriously, I really like the silence. I think they look great. They're just really creepy, and yeah, I'm a big fan of them. Do you know, I'll bump it up to good just because of the silence. Curse of the Black Spot. Yeah. Yeah, that's got to go into poor, I'm afraid. Another sort of Rory death. Yeah, it's just not really much to say about it. It's just for an episode that involves pirates, it's surprisingly dull. I suppose if you are a fan of the classics, it's cool. You get to link it back to link it back to the classics series story, The Smugglers, when the Doctor went looking for Henry Avery's treasure. So that's pretty cool. Other than that, yeah, not much to say. Now the Doctor's wife. This one does go into fantastic. Yeah, I love it. It's yeah, they had long been hinting at on the show that that the TARDIS was alive, that it did have a conscience and consciousness, and this was the story that really confirmed it. And Saran Jones played Idris Stroke the TARDIS. She's superb, and she just plays off really well with Matt Smith. House, voiced by Michael Sheen. Maybe he's not the best villain, but I think all the rest of it more than makes up for it. And we get another Rory death, so all is good in the universe. There we go to the Rebel Flesh Almost People. It's okay. I think yeah, I mean that's the best way to say it. I think the most interesting part of the story is when the Doctor swaps places with his doppelganger, and that exposes Amy's prejudices towards the gangers. I mean, why was she ever popular, eh? So I thought that was quite an interesting thing, but yeah, other than that, pretty standard fare, really. Okay, so a good man goes to war. Now, I get why people say that this isn't a good episode, but I quite like it. I like it. I love seeing the big team up. We meet the Paternoster gang for the first time. That's really cool. Henry Avery's back from Curse of the Black Spot. We even get Danny Boy, the character from Victory of the Daleks. What was that? That was right. 13, 12 episodes ago. That was a bit of an unexpected one. Anyway, I'm not sure why he brought Dorian. That's the fat blue-headed guy, if you can't remember him. Yeah, not sure why the Doctor brought him. He doesn't seem to have any particular skill that would be useful. And I'd say this episode's actually pretty great, right up until the Captain Runaway scene. That's when I think it does start to drop off a little bit. But I think the river twist is quite good. You know, it's a little awkward, but I think it's I mean, it's quite a good twist, and I think the reveal is done well. So, but yeah, I quite like it. No, but Let's Kill Hitler. Yeah. Yeah, not very good episode. And this was the point I sort of felt I was done with the River Song character. So I guess it's a good thing she's only got a couple more appearances. Because the thing with River is after this episode, she never becomes any less of a homicidal psychopath. The only difference is she's just not trying to kill the Doctor anymore. So, I guess there's some humour to be had from Rory putting Hitler in a cupboard. And there's the whole Mel's thing. Amy's best friend, who turns out to be River Song. It's like, I feel like that's the sort of thing that could have only happened to her. We go to the next episode, which is Night Terrors. Yeah, no surprise, this is going bottom tier. That's because that's exactly where it belongs. Right along the bottom. I will give it, the dolls, they do look quite creepy, but that's about the only thing it does have going for it. Then we go to The Girl Who Waited. Yeah, I'm gonna put this one in great. I would say this is Karen Gillan's best performance. Because it's the only one she really leads. I don't know how she managed to build a sonic. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know how she managed to build a sonic screwdriver, because from what I understand, they need a rock that can only be found on Gallifrey. But fair play to her. And yeah, the ending of this episode is really good. Rory, Arthur Darvill, he puts in a great performance in this episode as well. When he has to make that choice to lock the older version of Amy outside of the TARDIS. Rory, like I always say, he is an interesting character, because sometimes it's like he's the only one who can see through all the Doctor's bluster and see just who he is. So yeah, Girl Who Waited, obviously a great episode. And then we go to the God Complex, and this is another great episode. Yeah, I think this would have been a really good ending for the Ponds. Because the way it ends with the Doctor making it, Amy realized that she just doesn't really need him anymore. And so if that had been the end for the Ponds on Doctor Who, I think that would have been a great ending. Unfortunately, it wasn't. But yeah. But I like the setup in the hotel. It's got all the creepy imagery around it. You know, maybe the big beast thing could have been a little better, but and often, you know, a lot of people do love the character Rita in this episode. I can see why. I don't know. I don't know if there was ever any serious discussion of her becoming a companion, but I think she would have worked quite well. But you know, c'est la vie. And then we go to closing time. So the return of James Corden, and I will say this is a better episode than The Lodger. I think, you know, Matt Smith and James Corden, I think they have really good chemistry together in this episode, and you know, I guess I don't really like that the Cybermen are sort of just a sideshow, because really this is a story about Craig, and it's a very relatable story about a new dad who's just worried that he's not going to be up to the task, because you know that's the real core of it. And it's got its all love saves the day ending that Moffat is so keen on. So that does drag it down a bit. And I like the bit where James Corden is in the department store, and he's trying to imagine what would the doctor do in this situation. Clara Oswald takes notes. And then we get to the series finale, and it's another poor series finale from Stephen Moffat. And here's the thing with this, right? This whole story, right? This all kicks off because of River Song trying to change history, changing a fixed point in time. But by the end of the episode, it feels like she's almost been rewarded for her action. You know, that's not a great story. And then I just think, just generally, I just think it's a confused mess. Visually, it's all very confused. But I guess, you know, you might argue that's because it's supposed to be, with all these different time periods all happening at the same moment. But yeah, I say no, another disappointing finale. Right, so we go to the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. You know, last year we had what many people would say is the best Christmas episode in Doctor Who. This was one of the worst. It might be one of the worst. It's one of the worst Doctor Who's done. I can't think of anything much positive to say about it. It's got Alexander Armstrong in it. That's Mr. Smith from the Sarah Jane Adventures. And Bill Bailey. Bill Bailey was in it. I'm sure he's probably forgotten that as well. We go on to Asylum of the Daleks. Now, I'm just going to put this in okay. It's an okay. It promised that it was going to be a massive nostalgia fest. You know, we're going to see all these old classic Daleks. you know, there was going to be like the special weapons Daleks, etc. And you know, they might have been there. The trouble is, it was too dark, so no one could tell. And then there's this subplot with Amy and Rory, um, which, which just it just didn't make sense on any level. Why they would be going through a divorce, you know? And Amy tries to make out, oh, she was, you know, because she couldn't have children, so she was giving them up. Um, no, still team Rory, I'm afraid, because Amy. Did you ever try actually just talking to him? You know that that might have solved the problem. I don't know. The only thing that really stops the sign of the Daleks sinking lower is Jenna Coleman's appearance, and this is one of those stories that will be forgotten in the midst of time. But Jenna Coleman's appearance in this episode was a genuine surprise at the time. Now, of course, people knew she was joining the series, but they were expecting she wasn't going to be appearing until the Christmas episode. So nobody knew she was going to be in this episode. And when you contrast that, you know, with today, where basically everything about the most recent series got leaked, and going back to 2012, and no one knew that Jenny Coleman was going to be in this episode. And it just shows it is possible to keep a secret. But yeah, obviously, yeah, she was really good. Obviously, she managed to have good chemistry with Matt Smith, even though they're never physically together. So which is fair play to both of them on that. But yeah, that's the only thing that that keeps it just above the poor. Now, dinosaurs on a spaceship. Yeah, so that's going into bottom tier. One of the things that really bothers me about this is character John Riddle, the great game hunter. Why would the Doctor, who is very notorious about his distaste for guns, why would he be friends with John Riddle? A guy whose only raison d'etre is shooting things with guns. You might argue, the brigadier is a soldier, but there is a purpose to what the brigadier does. I don't know why he would ever be friends with John Riddle. That doesn't make sense. I quite like I do quite like Mark Williams as Brian, say Rory's dad. But other than that, it's just not a good episode. And David Mitchell and Robert Webb are, I'm a big fan of the Mitchell and Webb look, Mitchell and Webb situation, Peep Show. So seeing them wasted in this as terribly unfunny robots, that's just pain. It's just painful. Who wrote this one? Chris Chibnall. Well, I'm sure this isn't a bad omen. All right, then we go Town Call Mercy. I would put this one up into good. You know, it's not great, but you know, as a you know, the gunslinger, he's a bit of a one note villain. There's not much to him, but I do like that we're really getting to see how strained the Doctor's relationship with the Ponds is becoming. There's just more this increasing distance between them, and then there's the Doctor and Jex, and you know, there's this this question about that. You know, does the Doctor hate Jex because of the horrible crimes he's committed, or is it because the Doctor sees a lot of himself in Jex and some of the things that he's done, and that's why he hates him? So yeah, there are some interesting things. I guess it's an episode though. How much you like it is probably going to depend on how much of a fan of the Western genre you are. You know, I like a good Western, but then we go to The Power of Three, and this is just terrible, just from start to finish. I suppose, you know, I suppose it's an interesting idea, you know, to have the Doctor living with the Ponds for a year, you know, living that domestic life, and actually seeing them getting to live their lives. And you know, it's implied in the episode that you know, the Doctor and the Ponds have been traveling together for about 10 years by this point, on and off. Yeah, the villain is just rubbish. Doesn't really do anything. Just sort of turns up, then disappears again, and then you know, the Doctor just solves it out, the whole thing out of nowhere. And I don't like the ending. When Brian is speaking to them and says that Amy and Rory, they can't live without the Doctor, and I just thought, well, no, that's the very opposite of what this episode has been saying. It's very clear that Amy and Rory have moved on. It's the Doctor who is clinging on to them. You know, I feel like the writer has missed the point of their own episode there. Who wrote this? Chris Chibnall. Well, you know, I'm sure this isn't going to come back and haunt us. Angels Take Manhattan. It's not a perfect episode, but I think it's a good ending for Amy and Rory. I think it was the right time for them to go. You know, I mean, I know that a lot of people love them, but I thought they were just starting to outstay their welcome. You know, we get the Weeping Angels back. I mean, this is sort of the problem with Weeping Angels, is there's not really a lot you can do with them, because they just stand there. And so all you can do is look at them. So it's quite limiting what you can do with them. I think the Statue of Liberty angel is a bit silly. Of course, one, the Statue of Liberty is not made of stone. And two, this is New York. There's always going to be someone with their eyes on the Statue of Liberty. And to be honest, if you watch this episode, most of the time the characters aren't actually looking at the angels. And still, Stephen Moffat must have been quite happy because he got to kill off Rory. What was it? Three times in this episode. Because first you see him die in a hotel as an old man, then he dies again, jumping off the building, and then he gets zapped back in time by the angel and dies of old age. So yeah, that's quite an impressive feat. 3 times, and Rory died 3 times in one episode. Now we go on to we wave goodbye to the ponds and we welcome the impossible girl, Clara. Now I must admit I am a big fan of Jenna Coleman. I will not take any Clara bashing here. So but here's a so here we are with the snowman. Technically, this is a second appearance, I guess, because she was already in the Asylum of the Daleks as one of her other echoes. So yeah, this is a good episode. I like to see the Paternoster gang are back in it. I am a fan of them. I quite like Strax's silly little jokes. Sorry, what can I say? See, Jenna Coleman's very good in this. She immediately has great chemistry with Matt Smith. A lot is made of the sexual tension between Clara and the Doctor. But I think the more important thing is about Clara just bringing him out of this funk he's been in after losing the ponds. And when he said, when he says, "This is me giving in," that's not really meant to be taken as like any sort of declaration of love for Clara. More that he's actually cares again. That he is going to be helping everyone again. I guess the bads. Yeah, the snowmen are sort of aren't very good. Yeah, I think it's sort of weird when the Doctor carries the London Underground lunchbox, because it's weird that they would be setting up an episode from what 40 plus years ago, the Web of Fear. That was a bit weird. Yeah, this is really the start of the Impossible Girl arc. So yeah, we'll see. Very divisive arc. I don't mind it, but yeah, a lot of people not fans. We go to the Bells of St. John. Okay, I'm going to put this one in good, and I'm going to explain my reasoning on here. Now, this is my guilty pleasure episode because objectively, this is not a good episode. The Bells of St. John is not a good episode. You know, the Great Intelligence, their plan, it doesn't make any sense. You know, they're uploading all these mines, and then what? What are they using for? They're using for, you know, and when they uploaded Clara the first time, why did they give her IT skills? What would she have needed them for? And arguably, this isn't even a great introduction episode for Clara Prime, as she's known, because she's actually asleep for most of the episode. But that said, it does have a charm to it. And you know, obviously the bits with Clara, you know, when she is awake, they're really, really good. So, and you know, just it's the visual of riding up the Shard, which is a very new building at the time this episode was released, on his anti-grav jet bike, and you get this awesome. It's not quite a one take, but this one, the awesome shot where it starts off with Clara and the Doctor. They're in the street, and they go into the TARDIS, go all around it, back out the door, and suddenly they're in a plane. Now, it's not quite a one take, but it looks really good. And as everyone knows, the book that R.E. is reading at the start, Summer Falls by Amelia Williams. Yes, so obviously this is a book by Amy Pond, and actually you can actually buy this book. You know, BBC saw marketing sense in that. So I haven't actually read it myself, but if there is anyone else who has read it, you know, let me know if chapter 11 is every bit the tearjerker that Clara promises it is. Next episode is Rings of Akaten. And this is a real Marmite episode. Some people hate it, some people love it. I love it. I mean, this is great. A great episode. I love the first start of it, where they try and go all George Lucas with it, and show all these different aliens. Obviously, don't stare too close, because you know, then you'll notice how dodgy the costumes are. I think this world they've created, it's just stunningly beautiful, and we get this early hint at how similar Clara is to the Doctor, when you know she's on this alien planet, and she sees this child in distress, and her instinct is she has to help. You know, and that, just like the Doctor, you know, in The Beast Below, when he sees a crying child, he has to help. And of course, we get the epic speech from the Doctor. You know, I think everyone knows the one. And I think even this episode's biggest detractors will admit that's a fantastic episode, fantastic moment. And I think Clara's speech that she gives right after Vogue is, you know, I think people shouldn't sleep on that. That's because it's a really beautiful monologue, beautifully delivered by Jenna Coleman. And you know, I know a lot of people don't get the whole leaf thing, but you know, my lazy generalization on this is, you know, people who have lost someone too soon, they understand it instantly. I mean, you know, I mean, it's really beautiful. it's not quite a classic. I can't quite put it in fantastic because it does have a slightly dodgy middle act, but even that's not too bad. But yeah, I think this is a great episode. Then we go to Cold War. I think this is it's what I call an overhated episode. I don't think this is as bad as some people will make out. You know, uh, you know, a lot. I mean, the main criticism seems to be seeing the Ice Warriors face with the dodgy CGI, and maybe that removes the mystery of the Ice Warriors. And maybe there's something to that, but I don't think that in itself makes this a bad episode. Um, in many ways, it's quite a standard episode. Trapped in a base with a monster on the loose. It's that's not an common story in Doctor Who. But with the constantly dripping water, I think that gives it just a really good atmosphere. So yeah, I think Cold War's okay. We get to Hyde, and this one is, if you'll pardon the pun, this is a hidden gem. It's not an episode that many people talk about, but it's a really great episode. It's got this really creepy atmosphere to it, and then it just gets more interesting as you find out more. I like the bit where Clara has an existential crisis when she sees the life cycle of Earth from birth to death. Not too dissimilar to Rose's in the end of the world. And yeah, I think it's just a really strong story. I think Dougray Scott and Jessica Raine, they're really good in it as well. And yeah, I mean, more people should be talking about this episode. It's really good. But from something that's really good to something that's really bad, and that is Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. Yes, you can say it does set up important events down the line, but the bit when the Doctor is sad when he sees the TARDIS's engine has exploded, and that's a surprisingly emotional scene. But other than that, there's just nothing good to really recommend this. The villains, not really villains as such, but they suck. I don't understand how you can convince someone they're an android. Yeah, you can give them robot eyes, but you know humans still have bodily functions they have to perform. So I don't understand how that would ever work. Yeah, no, that's a no from me. Then we go to the Crimson Horror, and I quite like the Crimson Horror. I think it's definitely one of Mark Gatiss's best episodes. Uh, you know, and Diana Rigg as Mrs. Gillyflower. She's really good. This was going through her late career renaissance. her role as the Queen of Thorns in Game of Thrones. There was just those episodes were just starting to go out at the same time. Yeah. Mr. Sweet is a bit rubbish. But it's always good to see the Paternoster gang, you know. But yeah, I think this is a good episode. It's got a great theme to it. You know, I mean, it's got strong performances all round. Yeah, I think it's generally quite horrifying. Then we get to Nightmare in Silver. Oh, where do I want to put this? It's hard because, you know, I'm a big fan of the Cybermen, but this just isn't very good. You know, whereas in, you know, the previous appearances, the Cybermen had looked pretty weak. In this episode, they're now they're just completely OP. Where they can just instantly upgrade and become invincible to everything. On the plus side, this is a great performance from Matt Smith, playing his sort of dual role as the Doctor and the Cyber Planner. So that's all very entertaining. I know some people think the Cyber Planner shouldn't be as emotional, but I think the whole point of that is part of the Doctor's personality overwriting the Cyber Planner. But then there's the end, and that line from the Doctor. You know, the mystery wrapped in enigma in a skirt that's just a little too tight. Yeah, I mean, if the Doctor finds Clara attractive, okay, fair enough. After all, he's only Time Lord. But you don't need to make him sound so perverted about it. So just no on that. Just Stephen Moffat and his one-handed typing yet again. Then we go to the name of the Doctor. And I guess how you feel about this episode will depend very much on how much you feel about the whole Impossible Girl story. Personally, I'm fine with it. I think it's a decent enough conclusion. It doesn't retroactively ruin episodes like some people have tried to claim it has. You know, I think, you know, it makes some sort of sense. So it's fine. And I actually think there was actually more ground to cover with this whole Impossible Girl thing. But what with the 50th and Matt Smith's regeneration, understandably, that all got sort of dropped. And that's fine. I think River, like I say, I'm not the biggest River song fan, but yeah, her role in this was absolutely fine. Then we get the introduction of John Hurt at the end. That was done quite epically. And one of the things people say about this episode is one of the things they criticize it for is they never actually show how the Doctor and Clara escape from the Doctor's time stream. And yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason for that. Because they were supposed to film it, but clumsy Matt Smith went and injured himself. So So it never got filmed. There you go. Then we go to Day of the Doctor. Day of the Doctor. Yeah, I think this is pretty great. I think it's what you want from a 50th anniversary special. And do you know what? It's really weird to think how times changed in the space of 10 years. Because I remember when this 50th was coming on, you know, the BBC, it was like a real celebration of Doctor Who on the BBC. They had like all these documentaries coming on. They made an adventure in time and space. You know, the sort of Verity Lambert, Will Hartnell biopic thing. Brian Cox, he even gave a lecture on the science of time travel in Doctor Who. And then you know, you got the Five-ish Doctors and the after party after this episode had aired. And then you fast forward to the 60th, and yeah, I think they made I think there was the Doctor Who and the Daleks in colour, but yeah, there wasn't that much fuss really when it came to the 60th. But you know, that's what I mean when I said that this period with Matt Smith was probably the time the Doctor Who is the most popular it's ever been. We look at the actual episode itself. You know, some of the shots in it do look a little weird now, but that's because they were originally shot in 3D. If you can remember when that was a thing. See, John Hurt. Yes, he's brilliant. It's his only appearance. Well, his only proper appearance as the Doctor, and he makes such an impression in a cast with just bursting with talent like David Tennant, Matt Smith, and he just really manages to stand out. And he's good. Yeah, David Tennant, Matt Smith, they're into play. That's really fun. This is the whole thing with the Zygons that does feel slightly superfluous to it, but yeah, that's, you know, it's okay. But yeah, other than that, I say if you wanted an anniversary special, it gave you pretty much everything you would want. You know, the only letdown is you know, they couldn't get Christopher Eccleston back, but you know, maybe if they sacked Judy Gardner. And then the time of the Doctor, and I'm going to put this in great. But before I get into it, I do want to address something. This is right from the start of the episode, and I just want to say the Doctor is far too keen for Clara to see him naked, and that is not okay. And it gets worse if you see the deleted scene as well. You know, again, I mean, was there really any need for the whole naked thing anyway? It's just another example. Stephen Moffat typing one-handed. Other than that, it's yeah, it's really good. I'd say it's probably the perfect send off to the 11th Doctor. Because you get to see all the traits that made him such a great Doctor. You know, you know, you can see his brain. You see he's got his humor, his frantic energy, but he's got that the hard edge to him. So really, it's a really strong. I think Jenna Coleman actually gives a very underrated performance in this episode, and you know the whole cracker scene towards the end. I could probably do like a whole shot by shot analysis as to why that scene is just so perfect. And then at the end you get Matt Smith's regeneration speech, which is, you know, slightly meta, but yes, another really great Doctor Who moment. And we get the introduction of Peter Capaldi, his attack eyebrows, and he's very worried about his kidneys. One issue I do have of it, yet the ending has been slightly retroactively ruined by the whole timeless child nonsense. But even that, you know, if we just imagine that never happened, this is still a really great episode. And yeah, that's it for the Matt Smith era of Doctor Who. He does technically have one more appearance to come, but that'll be for next time when I go into the Peter Capaldi era. And that's it. So overall, you know, this era, it was a bit inconsistent. Some good, some bad. I'd say the good overweighs the bad. So you know, it's still a strong era. I don't think it was quite as strong as the RTD1 era in terms of quality, but yeah, it was still a great time to be watching Doctor Who. And next time we'll go into the Peter Capaldi era. Yeah, let me know if you agree, disagree, and you know, if you enjoyed it, please feel to like and subscribe. All that usual YouTube stuff, and I will see you later.